This is just a birder's paradise right now. This is beautiful, beautiful place. I like that it feels kind of secluded, like you don't feel like you're around a ton of people. You can kind of go at your own pace, and there's a lot of cool species to see.
When traveling to a different state or country, one of the most exciting things to do is visit the local birding hotspots. These are the locations widely renowned as the go-to places with the best sights and the most interesting bird species. We went to one of the most well-known birding locations in New Jersey to see what all the hype was about.
Hey everyone, this is Ryan from Badgerland Birding. Today, me, Derek, and our friend Nathaniel are at a place called Edwin B. Forsyth National Wildlife Refuge in New Jersey, and we're trying to see as many species as we can in this really unique wildlife area.
Edwin B. Forsyth National Wildlife Refuge sits along the Atlantic coast of New Jersey with over 40,000 acres of salt marsh, beaches, and forests, playing host to well over 300 different species of birds. Out of all of these species, there was one that we wanted to see more than the rest.
Our biggest target here is going to be salt marsh sparrow, which this is going to be a lifer if we can find it for all three of us. But there's a lot of other cool stuff that's been reported here as well, so we're just really excited to get going.
We started out by driving an auto loop with plenty of great habitat on both sides, taking in our first looks at the massive salt marsh.
First impression of this place, though, is really cool. It's a big flat marshland, which is what you would expect. There's actually the skyline you see in the distance, just tons of noises that are coming from all directions. So I think that it's going to be really fun to explore. I think it's going to be kind of tricky to pull out our target birds because there's a lot of habitat here to look through.
We rolled our windows down and listened to the cacophony of bird noises. It didn't take long for us to hear two interesting species at home in these coastal marshes.
Got seaside sparrow, which is not a lifer for Derek or I, but it is a really cool sparrow species. Always nice to see them. I remember how tricky it was when I got my lifer in Louisiana. It just popped up for a second, and even this right now was better looks than that. So really neat species to see. Glad we were able to find it.
Have some clapper rails calling in here too. This is just a birder's paradise right now. This is beautiful, beautiful place. I like that it feels kind of secluded, like you don't feel like you're around a ton of people. You can kind of go at your own pace, and there's a lot of cool species to see.
We watched the seaside sparrows and clapper rails for a while before continuing down the auto tour road. It seemed like every time we arrived at a new part of the refuge, we saw different species, from birds of prey soaring overhead, to egrets wading in the shallows, to different types of ducks floating in the deeper water.
There's been a lot of birds to sift through here, a bunch of different egrets, including snowy and great, and then there's also a bald eagle that's sitting up in pretty plain view, so that's kind of a unique thing to see right now. Still keeping an eye out for a bunch of different sparrows. We've got ducks everywhere, shorebirds, so really cool stuff so far.
In addition to these species, various shorebirds were also present, including copious amounts of willets, yellowlegs, and dunlin. Along with these species, there was another shorebird that was actually a life bird for me.
Lifer Wimbrel. For all of the lifers, we've got Nathaniel. He found me one.
Good job.
Am I the only one that needed as a lifer?
Yeah.
It was just me.
People helping people.
People helping people. Well, that's good. I'm glad that I was able to get that one. Would love to see one sitting somewhere, but it's still cool to get a lifer. I actually got a picture where you can tell what it is, so.
Feeling happy about finding a lifer for at least one of us, we continued on. During our drive around the refuge, there was a species that was extremely hard not to notice.
The number of ospreys out here is kind of shocking, and they have a bunch of nesting platforms, so there's a lot of big osprey nests, which is pretty cool to see. I mean, there are species that live in a lot of different parts of the country, but if you just take the time to look at them, they're a really beautiful bird, and really neat to see them nesting in these coastal waters.
Ospreys, sometimes referred to as seahawks, are a common hawk species around coastlines and areas with shallow water. They have a brown back and wings, a white underside, and a white head with brown stripes over their eyes. These birds are fishing specialists, typically searching for food in shallow waters as opposed to the deeper water. In fact, around 99% of their diet consists of fish. The other 1% includes small mammals, reptiles, and amphibians. Ospreys are known for building nests and raising chicks on man-made structures, including platforms like this. It felt like every single platform in the wildlife refuge held an osprey nest.
If I was campaigning for this place, I would say, you get an osprey for every platform. Every sandbar you get a willet and a yellowlegs. That's my promise to you as president of the marsh.
There's another osprey on float.
Told you.
Thanks, Bernie.
I'm running an honest campaign here.
Trying not to get too distracted by ospreys, or my upcoming campaign for president of the marsh, we continued driving, happening upon an area that was an absolute stronghold for gulls.
Nice little section of gulls there. Had great blackback, laughing, herring, ringbill, so a little gullapalooza area there.
It took us a long time to survey all the different parts of the auto tour loop, especially since we were paying attention to every sparrow that popped up, which most of the time were song sparrows or savanna sparrows. Near some of the last mudflats on the loop, we found a very striking species we hadn't seen in the state yet.
Just got a cool sighting of two glossy ibises. That's a bird that I think I've only seen once actually, and they can be really hard to tell apart from whiteface ibises depending on the time of the year, but since these are in breeding plumage, they look like pretty definite glossy to me.
We continued on the loop, but instead of salt marsh, we found ourselves going through a more wooded area.
This place actually has a surprising amount of habitat. I thought it was really just going to be the area with the salt marsh, but it turns out it's got a lot of woods too. It had some open prairies, so you could definitely spend an entire day or even multiple days here birding and looking for different species.
Yeah, we're definitely focused on the salt marsh, so we're kind of cruising through some of this a little faster than we would if we were just kind of having a day out here. But it is really nice to see such a diversity of habitat and different habitats too. There's, you know, as Ryan mentioned, the forest, the lakes, the salt marsh. So we're finishing our loop, and then we're gonna head back to the start of the trail to hopefully get a salt marsh sparrow.
While we were more focused on finding a salt marsh sparrow, we noticed a species we had seen all over the refuge, nesting near some ponds along the road, the mute swan. Mute swans are actually not originally native to North America, but now have established breeding populations in some states. These elegant birds can be differentiated from other swan species by their bright orange bill, black from their bill to their eye, and indomitable attitude. These elegant birds, known for their beauty, are also known for their aggressiveness, routinely chasing off other birds and even larger animals. Mute swans can be found in parts of California, as well as the eastern United States, with their greatest population density in Michigan and along the coast of the Northeast in states like New Jersey, Massachusetts, and New York. Before finishing the loop, we stopped to help a reptile cross the road.
Wow, look at this beautiful painted turtle. Look at those reds and oranges. So we're just gonna move this little fella off to the other side here. It was in the road.
After sending our new friend on its way, we arrived back at the beginning.
We completed our entire loop around the area, so now we are going to go back to the starting point and see if we can maybe find one of our salt marsh sparrows we're looking for there.
Having no luck finding a salt marsh sparrow driving the loop, we decided to go with a little more meticulous approach.
So we're now resorting to walking the path out here. So we just parked. We're taking longer than we wanted to here, but that's okay. We got the whole day, and we really want to see one of these salt marsh sparrows. So we're going to spend a little more time walking the start of the path. Really hard to tell where these points are because people are using the general hotspot to report, but hopefully we'll run into one.
Before walking the road, we took some time to check out a boardwalk called the Leeds Eco Trail. Here we found animals at home in salt marshes and got some really nice views of a pair of American crows. Not finding our target bird in this part of the marsh either, we went back to the road and started walking. By the time we got there, a lot of birds had stopped making noise, and the wind had kicked up, making it even harder to hear the potential call of a salt marsh sparrow.
Well, the wind and time of day are really killing us right now. We walked pretty far down. We're about to head back, but I think we're probably not going to get one today. So we'll have to see what else we can do later. Maybe we can still find one, but yeah, like this late in the day and with this much wind, it's really hard to hear that song that they make, if they're even making it right now. So a little disappointing, but hopefully we can get one later.
We decided to climb a lookout tower to take in the impressive view high above the refuge. After that, we decided it was time to call it a day at Forsyth.
We finished our little walk on the same trail that we actually drove down before, so I think that we did a pretty good job at this place. It was a really neat area to come explore. You could see Atlantic City from the area that we were actually looking for birds, so that was pretty cool. And overall, I just thought it was a really neat place, and definitely come back here again, and we might have to get salt marsh sparrow, but overall, solid birding day.
Even though we missed on our target bird, we still had a great time birding the expansive salt marshes of Edwin B. Forsyth National Wildlife Refuge. With a combination of views out over the water and fascinating coastal species, it truly is a fantastic and enthralling place to go birding. We will have to return at some point to once again try and find a salt marsh sparrow, but until then, thanks for watching. We'll see you next time on Badgerland Birding.